All right. Hello, everyone, and welcome to today's webinar, Bridging Creativity and Care, Exploring Dance and Movement Therapy and Community Dance for Health and Healing. I am NeFesha Yisra'el. I'm the Director of Programs here at CA for the Arts, and we're excited to have you all with us. Today, we'll be exploring how creativity and care intersect in powerful ways, shining a light on the role of dance and movement in health, healing, and community well-being. Before we begin, I'd like to thank the Music Man Foundation for their generous support and for their belief in the healing power of the arts and its impact on communities across our beautiful state. So welcome, and let's get started. Let's go to that next slide. All right. I believe our team member, Terry Ball, added to the chat to introduce yourself in the chat. So we welcome you to introduce yourself and acknowledge the Indigenous land where you reside. And if you'd like to share a link for folks in the chat to connect with and learn more about your work, please feel free to do that. And again, and this event will be recorded. The recording, the slides, and all of the resources will be shared with registrants. I am currently in the Central Valley, where I live in Fresno on Yokut's land. And again, my name is NeFesha Yisra'el, here with CA for the Arts as the Director of Programs. All right, a few webinar guidelines to help guide our conversation today. Make sure you type your questions for the panelists in the chat. Any questions that you have will be answered. We'll have time to answer them. If they're not answered live while the panelists are speaking, we will have time at the end of each of the presentations to answer your questions. But just be sure to put them in the chat and we will be collecting those questions. We ask that you avoid buzzwords and explain references and acronyms. A lot of times, if you're in the industry, it's easy to use buzzwords and acronyms that we always use, but we want to make sure that everyone understands what you're referring to. Oftentimes with CA for the Arts, we say CFTA, right? But just so that everyone understands, CA for the Arts would be how I would write it out. And then please be respectful of your fellow attendees here today by honoring perspectives in the chat. Thank you. We can go ahead to that next slide. All right, a few Zoom tips to help us with the conversation. If you need the closed captioning, you can click the CC button at the bottom of your screen. If you're on a desktop, you'll see it on the strip at the bottom. And you're going to just click the CC button. You can click that on and off at any time. If you're having trouble hearing or if you would like to just utilize it to better support your interaction today, you can click that. And also, if you click the little up arrow where it says show captions, you can the symbol to view or adjust your caption settings. And you can see that on the screen. It's a little up arrow where it says show captions. And again, with the comments or questions, just go ahead and put those in the chat on the strip at the bottom of your screen, and it will say chat, and put your questions in there. And next slide. Thank you. We've got a few more Zoom tips. If you go to the top of your screen, you're going to see the view button there, and you can choose to click side by side option and hover your cursor on the vertical gray line, which is in the middle. It's the second picture here to the right, where, thank you, Jen, is scanning over it with the blue dot. That little gray line, you can move the gray line, you can move it back and forth to see more of the individuals that are here joining us today or more of the slide deck. So however you'd like to see it on your screen, you can adjust that. Go ahead to the next slide. All right, a little bit about our organizations. Most of the time, most people hear about CA for the Arts, which was established in 2007. This is our statewide programming services and advocacy network. Under CA for the Arts, we do all of our programs, such as our Arts and Health Initiative. We also have Arts, Culture, and Creativity Month that every year we celebrate in the month of April, and we provide free toolkits to support people to be able to, organizations, and individuals to celebrate Arts, Culture, and Creativity Month in their local city or county. So those things are housed under CA for the Arts amongst a host of other programs that we have on our website. And then we also have CA Arts Advocates, which was the beginning of our organizations, started in 1996. And that is our lobbying organization. That's a 501c4. So we're able to do direct lobbying under our CA Arts Advocates. All right. And this is the last slide that I have for the beginning part. We have a wealth of information that we'll be sharing with you today, along with some fun activities. So I'm looking forward to the activities. I want to give a special shout out to Jennifer Kuo, who is our arts and health consultant and has curated this entire webinar series. She has a plethora of knowledge on arts and health and is really embedded in it and understands it in a way that is unique and nuanced. And so thank you, Jennifer, for taking the time to do this and put this entire webinar series together. If you weren't on the first two, we have those on YouTube. We'll share some more information about them. And again, this will be recorded today and it will be shared for you all to be able to view and share out to others. And presentations, we have today Vicki Alvarez, who is a board certified dance and movement therapist and a co-creator for Let's Dance It Out. We'll share more of Vicki's bio before she speaks. Jen will share the bio. And then Ricka Kelsch, who is the founder and executive director for Dance and Dialogue. Excited for you all to experience the work that they're doing. Again, if you have any questions, put them in the chat. We will have space for discussion and Q&A, and then we'll have some closing remarks for you all. So hopefully you can stay for the entire time. If not, again, it'll be recorded, and I'm going to pass it to Jennifer to take over and share a little bit more about today's experience.
Thank you so much, NeFesha, and thank you everyone for tuning in today. So a little overview, this series was created by listening to and interacting with a variety of people who work at the intersection of arts and health, as well as from feedback from those curious to learn more. The 5 webinars in this series offer an introduction to this diverse and evolving field, highlighting how creative arts therapists, teaching artists, and facilitators contribute to individual and community well-being. Participants, all of you, will gain a deeper understanding of the different settings, approaches, goals that shape this work, from clinical interventions and environments where licensed creative arts therapists support individuals with specific diagnoses, to community-based programs led by artists and cultural practitioners that promote prevention, connection, and resilience. And so at the same time, we do recognize that concerns sometimes arise across professions regarding qualifications and roles in leading arts-based workshops for healing. So these conversations reflect important concerns, yet they also highlight the need for dialogue, clarity, and collaboration. And with mental health and other related challenges on the rise, the demand for this kind of work is greater than ever. And we believe there is a space for a spectrum of contributions, from preventive and community-based approaches to clinically focused interventions, so that together we can support the full continuum of individual and community health needs. Okay, and so to kick us off today for our webinar, I would now like to introduce our first speaker, Vicki Alvarez. So born and raised in San Francisco, Vicki began dancing at a young age, training in multiple styles and performing on platforms like America's Got Talent and So You Think You Can Dance. She holds a BA in psychology with a minor in dance from Cal State Northridge and an MS in dance movement therapy from Pratt Institute. As a board-certified dance movement therapist, Vicki has worked with diverse populations, from children to seniors with dementia. She's a co-creator and program director of Let's Dance It Out, a therapeutic dance movement program for teens and adults with intellectual and developmental disabilities. Guided by the belief that the body is the unconscious mind, she uses movement as a powerful tool for deepening connection, empowering individuals, and promoting healing through communities. So let's give it up and welcome Vicki.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Jen, for that awesome introduction. I do want to just give a shout out to California for the Arts. It is a privilege and an honor to be able to be here and to share space with all of you. I'm very excited to share what I can. Hopefully that will be helpful for all of you. I know today is short, but it'll be a sweet time together as we talk about dance and movement therapy, also community dance for health and healing. And so I hope this is just a little bit of an appetizer to help you to want to learn more and to dive deeper into these practices. And so if we can all maybe just take a collective breath together, take that inhale in, exhale out, let it go. I'd like to invite all of you to set an intention for this next hour and a half or so. What is it for you that you would like to embody, to embrace today? And feel free to put that in the chat. It'd be lovely to see that. What is your intention, whether being present, maybe to release some tension, maybe to be open to learning, maybe it's even to just drink more water today during this time, right? Go ahead and put it in the chat. What is your intention for this time? While people are doing that, we can head on to the next slide, Jen. All right. So as that's filling up in the chat, awesome. Just to dive in a little bit deeper, thank you, Jen, for that great introduction as well. For me, I moved to Los Angeles, also known as Tongvaland. I have a passion for dance. I think at the time too, I was feeling quite burnt out in, just being wrapped up in the perfectionism of being on stage, the long late night rehearsals, the blood, sweat, and tears, the many injuries, right? And so I was starting to lose that fire a little bit of why I was doing the things I was doing. And so I knew that I wanted to just further maybe my education, further my learning. And so I actually transferred to Cal State Northridge as a kinesiology major initially, because I was thinking about going down the physical therapy route. But I was introduced to dance and movement therapy, and I had no idea it was even a field. And this was back in around 2014. And so being able to be introduced to that, I thought, wow, this is so amazing that this even exists, right? It's like this combination of psychology and dance. And so I really wanted to learn more about that. And so I wanted to share that piece with all of you, not because I'm a big deal or anything like that, but because I think a lot of people can feel maybe limited of maybe the path that they can take, especially within the dance industry. And so we'll go on to the next slide. This is how I actually got introduced to dance and movement therapy. There's a program, it was a therapeutic dance and movement program for teens and adults with developmental disabilities called Dance for All at the time. It was created by Hillary Kern. Also, it was passed off to her from Kathy Cass. And I got to volunteer on my Saturdays, and being able to be around a community where dance was not used for just, practicing in perfection and, stage performances and all these things. While they do have performances, the main focus of the class was to help promote social, emotional, and cognitive skills. And so that was something that really caught my attention. Because when I met these dancers, handful of years ago, almost, a little over a decade now, it was really amazing to see, the growth and the progress and the ways that we're able to use aspects of dance and parallel that to learning, right? And so, so with this program, I was able to get so involved so that I was starting to now teach this, we call it the Dance for All curriculum. It's actually a workshop and a program. It's a manual now to be able to share with other facilitators on how to integrate movement into your practice. And so in 2018, I eventually took over the program with my colleague, Chloe Rossi-Shewan, and we co-created Let's Dance It Out. And so now the Let's Dance It Out program uses the Dance for All curriculum for our teaching. And so I do have a video here for you because I feel like definitely the movement will help a lot more than just words, but it's not a promo video in any sense. It's really just a behind the scenes of some of the things that we do. And so I'll go ahead and maybe we can go to that video, Jen. That'd be awesome.
We are doing our budget dance. Let's stand here. Okay, we have room. Ready? 5, 6, 7, 8. Connections, patience, right, support, common interest,
Beautiful. Maybe let's bring our hands to our heart, just kind of feeling our heartbeat. Nice. Expressing gratitude to our bodies today for holding everything that we experience, for being along with us on this journey of life. We're going to take a deep breath in, reaching our arms all the way up. Inhale. And then hands together. Exhale. Bring them down to your heart center. Beautiful. And then another breath in, reaching our arms up right where they are. And then exhale, bring our hands out by our sides, all the way down, breathing out. Nice. Very last one in. We're going to take the biggest deep breath in, reaching up. Hands together, and then exhale, bring it back to our heart center. Nice. And then moving our fingers a little bit, wiggling our fingers right where they are. Maybe we can bring them to the screen. Wiggle our fingers to our friends. Nice. And then coming back to ourselves. And take a bow. Awesome. Wow. Thank you for all the hearts. I hope that was really impactful. That is just a snippet of what I get to experience with these dancers. Just really so heartwarming. And so just, yeah, so joyful, right? And so it reminds me all the time of how incredible dance and movement can be. And so just kind of to clarify as well, right? This is a therapeutic dance and movement program. So although I am a board certified dance and movement therapist, I am not providing therapy for these dancers, right? It's really more about creating that safe space for them to express themselves. And while we do have some facilitators that are licensed therapists or work in the mental health field, it's important that we also do have facilitators that are just really passionate about teaching and facilitating that don't necessarily have the credentials. But because we've been able to help them with the Dance for All curriculum and training and things like that, they're able to feel equipped to be able to do that. And so I did see in the chat there's some people interested in learning about those things, or maybe being a fly on the wall in class. We can definitely talk more about that. And so just to dive into what is dance and movement therapy, right? The psychotherapeutic use of dance, movement, body awareness, and embodied communication to foster healing and well-being for all individuals, families, and communities. That's the definition taken from the ADTA, the American Dance Therapy Association, where I have my credentials from. In my experience, I've been doing dance therapy in one-on-one sessions. It could be in groups, virtual, as well as in person, intensive outpatient programs, also known as IOP, partial hospitalization programs, known as PHP, residential treatment centers. And currently, the last 3.5 years, I've been working with older adults with dementia through the Hummingbird Project. And so we provide therapeutic activities one-on-one with our clients. And it's really incredible to be able to see just with the vast spectrum of populations that dance movement therapy can be used for. It really is that mind, body, and spirit connection. I believe that there's no right or wrong way to engage in dance and movement therapy because your body might have knowledge that we may not be familiar with on that conscious level, right? And so maybe some of you have heard of psychosomatic symptoms, right? Where your body is kind of telling you something before you even know it, right? Maybe you're talking about a certain subject or a topic, and all of a sudden you feel a sensation in a certain body part that just you start to notice this pattern, right? Or maybe you become ill, right? Some sicknesses evolve because of certain stressors, right, that pop up. And so we like to say how you show up in the session might be similar to how you show up in the world or in your relationships. And so we'll go on to the next slide here. I do want to take some time to clarify as well, just kind of the difference between dance and movement therapy versus therapeutic movement. Now, there is no, one that's better than the other. There's no one that's, just preferred. It depends on just what your goals are, right? And so both are extremely important, right? Just knowing the reasons for why you're engaging in those activities. And so I actually pulled this article. Ricka Hornthal is a colleague, a dance and movement therapist as well in the field, and I thought she just laid this out beautifully. So I'll just touch on some of these, where therapeutic movement, right, has a lot of instruction. There's teaching involved, right, whereas dance and movement therapy is really that one-on-one kind of therapeutic relationship that you build through facilitation. And so it's one thing to be on a diet and kind of following those instructions. It's another thing to have focused nutritional goals with a licensed dietitian who understands your personal needs, right? So it's a lot more personalized when it comes to the dance and movement therapy aspect. Therapeutic movement, can be very recreational and enjoyable, right? A lot of us do that to release stress and to, find ways to bring in some happiness and joy. And while there's a lot of joy that can be happening in psychotherapy sessions with dance and movement therapy, there's also a safe space to be able to be validated in all feelings that might arise, right? And so really being able to know that you can have those uncomfortable, right, feelings within the dance and movement therapy session, but having a safe container to be able to explore those. The therapeutic movement can oftentimes be focused on a product, not always, but there tends to be, some sort of combination or some sort of, idea that is created, right, within that space. Whereas dance and movement therapy really focuses on the process, right? There's a lot of symbolism that can emerge to be able to create some insight or awareness. And performances could be involved with dance and movement therapy. It just depends on what those goals are. And then when it comes to the way that those sessions are guided, right? A lot of the time therapeutic movement or dance includes, the dance style, right? And training and teaching in that, and maybe even mastering, right, a style or dance. Whereas dance and movement therapy is typically guided within the psychology realm of theoretical framework, right? So that could be, cognitive behavioral, could be person-centered approaches. You can have a movement analysis behind that in which you are guiding your client into that. And then a lot of the time too, therapeutic movement can be guided from the teacher or the instructor, whereas the dance and movement therapy session might be actually guided by the client, right? And the participants involved in that. But the therapist can join in what we like to call mirroring or practicing kinesthetic empathy. And so just by nature, dance and movement therapy is confidential, right? But within the therapeutic movement side, it can be confidential, but it's not always necessary, right? So just, again, understanding the ethics behind the work that you're doing. And I would say just to encourage all of you, whatever it is that you are providing, right, making sure that you do have, certain credentials or certain certificates or the education and the training, right, that you need to be able to do that type of work with your populations. So without further ado, let's go ahead and go on to our next slide. We're just going to take some time here to move together, right? Hopefully you all expected that to happen in our dance and movement group. So today, if you're able to turn on your camera, that would be awesome. If not, that's totally fine. Whatever you feel most comfortable with, most safe with. We'll work maybe with those of you who do have your cameras on. So, we for this portion, feel free to participate in whichever way feels good for your body, right? There's no right or wrong, again, way to do this. We'll go through a little bit of a warm up, kind of get our blood pump in a bit, and then we'll wrap up with a cool down and a self-care meditation. So feel free to get yourself situated, whether you want to stand up, take up space in your area, or you want to stay seated, totally up to you. I will go ahead and start sharing my sound here.
Right. And you hear the music okay? All right, awesome. So everybody, you don't need to necessarily look at the screen for this. Just feel free to tap into your own body for this beginning portion. I invite you to take a few deep breaths on your own time and just notice where your body is sitting. Maybe there's a little bit of movement, a little bit of swaying. Maybe your hand is on your heart, on your head, wherever it is that you need support. And if it feels good for you, you can close your eyes or you can drop your gaze. And I invite you to give yourself permission to be here without any sort of distractions. Maybe anything that might be robbing your capacity from showing up fully today. Maybe you ask for it to wait for you at the door until you're done. I invite you to release any sort of judgment that you might have on yourself or on others. And I invite you to bring your attention to the bottom of your feet and maybe recognizing that there are roots that ground you, that are connected to the core of the earth, that keep you stable, that keep you safe, keep you protected. And I invite you to start bringing some movement into those toes, into those feet. You push against the surface underneath. You see there's a little bounce. Maybe you start to notice your knees are joining in. Maybe you notice that your hips start to join the party. Leading up to your torso. Finding that strength in your core. You notice what it feels like to move that energy from your core to your chest. Do you find an opening? Maybe you find a stretch that expands all the way through your arms, through your elbows, through your fingertips. Notice the places that it reaches. Maybe that invites your shoulders to roll. Maybe you notice your head bobbing side to side. And I invite you to follow that impulse that you have. Maybe it's to the rhythm, to the beat of the music. Maybe there's a sway. Maybe there's a jump. Maybe there's a turn. Maybe there's a roll. Maybe there's a wave. And if you were to put a song in your heart today, how could your body sing it? And maybe you invite some opposites in here. We've got a lot of transitions in life.
Yeah.
How do you move from one end to the other? You go up and down. You go side to side. You go fast and slow. How does that feel in your body when you go fast versus when you take it slow? Where is your breath? And I invite you to find a partner on the screen and try on their movement. Notice how it feels to be with your community today. To share some love through the trees. And in the times that we are right now, I invite you to share a gesture of love, of tenderness, of care to your friends on the screen. What would that look like if you were to share that with them? Notice what it feels like, maybe, for you to now receive. How does your body receive that tender, loving care from your community, from your friends, even from strangers? You expand. Is there a contraction? Do you allow yourself to be hidden? Or do you give permission to be seen? Go ahead and take about 30 seconds or so to share your last gift. Just for now, your folks all around the world. All right, friends. So go ahead and get yourself in a very comfortable position. You don't need to see the screen. We'll take a few moments here to just do a cool down self-care meditation. All right, friends. So in whatever position that is for you, whether you're sitting down, laying down, standing up,
Go ahead and close your eyes or drop your gaze if you haven't already. Planting your feet flat out in front of you, feeling your roots grounded to that core of the earth.
Take a breath. Take in what you've experienced today, remembering that intention that you set at the beginning of our time together and just noticed. I invite you to take a body inventory, check in where you are right now, releasing any judgment, and welcoming light. Start to envision yourself the way you want to feel when you're leading or facilitating. Maybe you're feeling joyful, playful, connected, strong, supported. Visualize you as your best self, taking in all of these qualities and visions with a full deep breath. As you inhale, I invite you to take a snapshot of your experience in your mind and allow the feelings and qualities to sink into each of your cells, allowing you to embody them to the fullest. Feel the sensation throughout your body that these qualities are living inside of you and are with you as you continue your journey as a leader in this community. Continue to check in periodically to remind yourself of this feeling, the qualities that you. Now I invite you to take a moment for gratitude. Take the time to thank yourself for showing up today and for being here, and for following your heart and intuition. Offer gratitude to the version of you who kept going. Gratitude to the version of you who struggled, who survived, who showed up even when it was hard. Offer gratitude to your body for holding your story, for communicating with you, and for being your guide. Let this feeling of gratitude radiate outward from your chest to your limbs, to your breath. Acknowledge the wholeness of who you are, past, present, and future. In whatever way that looks or feels for you, embrace it with these next few breaths together as we begin to close our meditative practice. I will ring my bell 3 times, and after the 3rd ring, you may blink open your eyes and return back to the space.
Welcome back, everyone. Thank you so much for allowing me to share with you. I hope this was helpful and can't wait to chat with you in just a bit.
Wow, thank you so much, Vicki. That was such an honor to share space with you all, to see you dance, to dance with you. One of my favorite moments was when we got to like mirror one another. That was really cool. The entire thing was really beautiful. So thank you, Vicki, for sharing your gift with us and for allowing us to have that space together. Our next speaker is Ricka Kelsch, the founder and executive director of Dance and Dialogue. She has choreographed for stage, film, television, and videos, and coached and choreographed for musicians, singers, and comedians with over 28 years of dance teaching experience from pre-K through college, including co-teaching UCLA's musical theater workshop. She has spent much of her career as a middle school dance director and is the founder and dance director of a renowned high school dance program in West Los Angeles. Ricka's personal journey drove her to become certified as an autism movement therapist, a certified social skills provider, and a counsel and restorative justice facilitator, as well as being certified in SEL, social emotional learning. Ricka attributes blending these practices with her intention to make the world a better place, one person at a time, working from the inside out, as her secret sauce to create successful outcomes for those her organization serves. Welcome, Ricka. I'll pass it over to you.
Good morning. Thank you so much. That was a lovely introduction, and I want to echo Vicki's sentiments and gratitude for all of you in leadership at California of the Arts for inviting me to come and be here with everyone today. And welcome everyone. I feel so energized and centered now. Vicki, thank you so much. That was an incredible presentation, and so much gratitude to you for everything you shared. Thank you so much. We can get started. I'm going to talk to you a lot today about dance and dialogue, why I created it, how it moves through the Los Angeles area in particular, but we have a farther reach, and what the purpose serves, and how we can find our happy dance. That's going to be at the end. It looks like a lot of you already have found your happy dance, which is really exciting. And so then maybe today we'll just get to share it with each other, and then share it in a broader community later on in the day whenever we go out. So we can maybe go to the first slide, and then I can get started with okay, yeah, there we go. The Road to Dance and Dialogue. So, everything about the program is in the title, because we dance and we have dialogue. Why we began, I think most nonprofits have a why, and we want to solve that why. For me, it was two-pronged. At the time that I created Dance and Dialogue, I was the director of a middle school dance program, and a very prominent school in Santa Monica, and with very privileged students. And I would listen to what they were saying before class started. And a lot of times they were having conversations in judgment of others that they didn't even know, kids their own age who might be less fortunate, live in different neighborhoods. And so one day it bothered me so much that I finally asked them one day, oh, do you know these people? You're saying all of these things about these people. And they said, no. So then I thought, okay, I need to bring teens together so they can listen to and learn from each other rather than being lectured to. It wouldn't have made sense for me to stand there and lecture them. But I did take a strong note that they were judging people they didn't even know. And this is sort of common, as we know, in society. So easy to hide behind social media and all of that. And so this was one of the reasons why I pulled it together. And then the other purpose, or the other reason, is because I have a son who, when he was younger in elementary school, he was born with an anxiety disorder, and he was adopted from day one. And, even if children aren't adopted, we never know what they're experiencing. They sort of show us and tell us, whether it's verbal, nonverbal, we see in their behaviors and their actions that something might not be right. And so we started our journey with him. He had some mild other learning disabilities. And so we started our journey with different therapies and modalities that, of course, helped him with everything. But in the process, I was hearing his name said in a negative way too many times by teachers who might have been frustrated because he was fidgety or whatever was going on in the classroom. And so as a teacher myself, and as a parent, and observing what was going on, I thought I need to put something together and start not just helping students, but helping educators to understand that not all brains work the same way. Brains work differently. And so how can we embrace that? How can we work with people, even inside of a classroom, to help make a difference? I noticed when I was working with my son, so this is, we say, how we work from the inside out, meeting ourselves right where we are. And this is partially what I did with my son, where I noticed when we were doing homework that when I would take breaks and we would get up and dance, or we would just create a rap. And let me tell you, I cannot rap. So it made him laugh, and that brought some, a moment of levity to the situation. And then we were able to move on to the next subject. And then his grades skyrocketed because he had those moments. I threw him in a tap class where he could hear only, no one was going to get upset with him if he was making noise, because everybody was making noise, and he was brilliant at what he did. And then he told me later on, a couple of years later, I'm not a tap dancer anymore, I'm a drummer. But little did he know that all of those things had muscle input. There is, there are answers for why that creates a calming effect on the body. And now they've done so much research on that, which I'll probably allude to periodically throughout this presentation. So when we work from the inside out, that and meeting ourselves where we're at, I decided if I could I like to go to the core of what's going on. So we don't put Band-Aids on something. We actually deal with something that will have a long, sustainable effect. And that takes a lot of patience. But for me, that meant that we were going to address the fears that hold us back from accessing our fullest potential. Next slide, please. So a process, as I just said, facing our fears to access our fullest potential. And I think every moment of the day, there's a moment when we feel fear of something, and sometimes fear can drive us forward. But, that took me a long time to learn and to manage and to master how to use my fear to my advantage. And so that is something that I encourage everyone to work on, figure out what your fears are and how you can move them into a way that will actually benefit you. And we'll continue to talk about that as we go. Okay, a short story with a lifelong ending. This is actually what the practice of dance and dialogue. So, and I say slow and steady does win the race. This is one of our very first residencies in a school. And this is a picture of the school we were in. And the gentleman in the picture was the teacher of this class that we had. And the students walked in and they sat down in a circle as instructed. But this one boy who had his big hoodie on, he went over to a wall and he slid down the wall sitting crisscross applesauce, legs folded, arms folded, hoodie string pulled so tight that you could barely see his eyes through the hoodie. And he was a very big boy. He looked like he could have been, a sophomore or junior in high school already. And he was like a seventh, maybe an eighth grader at the time. So I went to the teacher and I said, tell me, why is he sitting against the wall? Is there a reason why he's not participating? And the teacher said, oh, he's very angry. We just leave him alone. And I looked at him and I said, oh, okay, well, in dance and dialogue, we don't do that. We like to invite everyone in. And in fact, he needs the invitation probably more than everyone else. May I invite him? And the teacher said yes. So I went over to the young man and I sat down. I squatted down right there so he didn't have to look up at me, and met him eye to eye. And I said, welcome. I'm so glad you're here. I noticed that you're sitting here. That's totally fine. When you're ready, please come and join us in the circle. We would love to have you. You're invited anytime. And he just stared at me. And then I went to teach the class and he stayed against the wall the whole class. Second week, the same thing. The third week, I upped the ante a little bit. I thought, okay, I've got to make some movement here. So after I invited him and he's now peering through his little hole that he created, I put my fist out so he could, meet mine and give me a fist bump. And he's staring at me and the fist is out here. I'm like, come on, dude, you don't leave me hanging out here. And I start laughing. And levity is a beautiful thing and it's a wonderful tool to use. Well, he reluctantly, but he did, his fist met mine. And that was the 4th week. The 5th week, he put his fist out first to bump my fist. And the 6th week, he put his hoodie down and he joined the circle and he never went back to the wall for the rest of the residency. He had friends. The teacher started to cry and he said, you don't understand. He is so angry. His home life is so bad. And we have never been able to reach him. We've never been able to help him to release his anger. But it was just in showing up and inviting him and letting him know that we saw him and that he mattered and he was invited. That was all the difference. Plus, we were also having fun in the circle because we were moving and doing fun things. And so from that day on, he had friends and he never went back. So here I also say, be intentional, be authentic, be curious, and walk in empathy. So, if I just said to the teacher, okay, no problem, I've got the rest of this class here, what would have happened to that boy? We don't know, but we do know that statistically, when these people are left alone like this, we hear about them in the news at some point. They don't make best choices. They wind up, their frustration, their anger, their fears, everything becomes amplified. And so it was wonderful. That's where we don't judge. We just give empathy, we invite, we create space. And that's when change happens. Okay, next slide, please. Okay, giving voices to those who often don't have a voice. We can learn from those we serve and the art of listening. This is all so important. This is one of my classes in South LA. These were, just love these kiddos. They were just so amazing. And I can just tell you that when I'm going to talk about counsel in a little bit and how we use counsel. So, as an autism movement therapist, that was really great because it helped me, that training and certification helped me to notice the students in my classrooms who were feeling challenged by the way things were presented to them. And so I could modify to make my classes more accessible to those different thinkers. And it really helped a lot. Also, when it came to these students, when I brought in counsel and we would sit and talk, and we often start counsel, it's the talking circles. They're offered by many different cultures. The one I was trained in was based off Native American talking circles, where these communities would sit for up to 22 hours to make sure everybody in the circle was heard. And the circle represented equality. Nobody was better than or lesser than, greater than anybody else in that circle. And so when we bring this to the students, they're very excited when the teachers and everybody sits with them in the circle and we share. And this group in particular, I love them. One day they heard about something in the news and they came storming in the room. Ricka, we need to talk. And when they said that, I was so proud. I was so happy that I gave them voices. And these are kids who are often told, be quiet. You don't know what you're talking about. Middle school kids, high school students, when they're sharing things, we often tell them, you don't know what you're talking about, especially as a parent, often as a teacher, but they're not going to have those important ideas and opinions when the time matters, when they do know what, they have an idea of what they're talking about because we've silenced them. And so when we give them a voice, we let them practice instead of saying, you don't know what you're talking about. In our programs, we might say something like, that's interesting. Why do you think that? So this is all part of how our programs move forward and engage our students. beyond the scope of just dancing. Okay, next slide, please. Okay, being brave enough to center ourselves in unfamiliar spaces with those we don't know and still offer our support. The art of counsel, restorative justice, sharing of stories, patience, and kindness go a long way. So again, this is from one of our All City workshops, and wait till you see the video coming up and some of the other experiences. We bring up to 400 teens together from all over the city. They're given these t-shirts that you see this gentleman wearing, and they listen to and learn from each other. They spend some time in council. They share who they are. And the students listen to each other and they bond. They only know they have a common interest of dance, but then even within minutes, they feel safe enough to close their eyes in an unfamiliar setting and allow themselves to go deep and discover whatever it is that they're led to discover that day. Thank you. Next slide, please. How peer-to-peer mentoring changes the space and the intentions of the space we teach in. Giving voices to those who are emerging, which is the same as what I just talked about. And we're always modeling for others. And I'll get to that. But how peer-to-peer mentoring, what I've noticed is we can't just claim, we can't just bring 400 teens together and say, this is a safe space. The words don't matter. It's the action behind it that creates that space. I see some nodding of heads, so I know that I'm not alone in this. A lot of you have done this work and you understand that. So we guide the students. They actually are the ones who create the safe space. They don't even realize it, but it's through some of the prompts that we have, some of the ways that we help them to get to know each other, that they wind up doing that. And then the peer-to-peer mentoring adds another layer. So I do a little training before this, students who want to be peer mentors. So in classes, the dance class sizes are enormous because we have all these hundreds of students. Some students who are intimidated, their various skill levels, they might filter to the back and then move off to the side. And before you know it, they're sort of hanging out and just standing and watching the class. So we have these peer mentors in the class who reach each other, who go over to those students. We tell them in advance, there are peer mentors here. The peer mentors raise their hand, introduce themselves, and then they might go over to that student and offer, hi, do you need help with this move? I know it's a little confusing, whatever. And the students wind up listening to each other better than an adult, somebody their own age that goes over and works with them. We've had so much success with it. And at the end of the day, when the students share their stories, one of the most common shout outs and thank yous are to the peer mentors. The students thank their peer mentor for grabbing them and keeping them moving forward. So it's really wonderful. I make the comment, we're always modeling for others, especially our children and those that we serve. We always just want to be mindful, of how that shows up. And that just goes back to when we're saying, instead of saying, be quiet, you don't know what you're talking about, we wind up saying, oh, that's interesting. I wonder why you say that. Okay, next slide, please. Okay, your body knows when you're dialing it in or giving it your all. The difference could lie in your fears. I think we all know that, especially if you have told yourself you can't dance, or you know somebody who has told you can't dance. I remember talking to a parent one day, and of a student who was in my dance class, one of my high school parents, and the mom's like, God bless my daughter, she can't dance. And I looked at the mother and I said, you didn't tell her that, did you? That's the world winds up having a way of telling us what direction we need to go in. So we're here to just raise everybody up and help them to feel their best selves. And we're not trying to, even in our programs, we're not trying to create just dancers. This is using dance as a way to express ourselves. So you look at this picture of this student, she is absolutely not dialing it into. Her full body is engaged. And when we get to our happy dance today, I'm not asking you to do this pose, definitely not, but just keep that in mind. And in moving forward, if you continue with your own journey of, dancing before you leave. And so, dance and dialogue, it has its therapeutic components, obviously, but we serve students no matter what zip code, and we bring in the top tiered master professional dance teachers and choreographers to each of these spaces, including from So You Think You Could Dance and Dancing with the Stars, and from many local dance companies, so that these students feel they've really been given something special. They know they're being trained by the best. Next slide, please. Finding your joy, how Dance and Dialogue has been helping others find their joy for 13 years. We're in our 13th year. Here's another thing. Okay, so I love this picture. It's from one of our first years, and yet it's one of my favorites. Do you think that this student has found her joy in all the ones in the background? This is something you see when you ace a test, or you get that job, or you make that touchdown, or whatever it is, those great feelings. Or you cooked something and it was really labor intensive and it turned out perfect. Whatever it is, this is how we want to leave the house every day, if it's at all possible. And with the way the world is right now, even, us adults, even us practitioners of whatever we're doing, we need to source ourselves. People forget about us because they look at us as leaders, people who are, we have an abundance of positive energy, but we also need to source ourselves. That's why there's so much nostalgia resurfacing right now. We haven't found our balance back from the pandemic yet. Everything's still been upside down. So how do we find this feeling that this student has? It's not always easy. And sometimes, that's how we deal with the things that are thrown at us every day. And I like to encourage everyone by saying, be an abundance thinker, sometimes we think small and we shrink down. When you notice that, it's almost like in a meditation, if you're following a mantra, sometimes you want to turn things around when you notice that you're thinking something negatively, and find a way to turn it around and think as Peter Pan said it best, think lovely thoughts. Just sometimes we have to move away from the negative self-talk and move into, something more positive. And I think that this is where, affirmation, self-talk, creative risks come in handy. That book I was alluding to earlier, called What to Say When You Talk to Yourself. It's a book, it was written in the 90s by Shad Helmstetter. That's a mouthful. He's written numerous books. That book was so great because it does talk about, and there's now science behind it. When we start saying negative things, our bodies feel that, and they will react to it, and maybe even bring illness if we don't check it. So we definitely want to continue that. And that's where dance comes in too, because as we're moving our body, we are releasing the feelings and memories and everything that's stored in our muscles. We're giving them an opportunity to flee, get away from us, go away. Otherwise, we have muscle tension and all the bad things that come with aging. And we don't want to do that prematurely. So this comes with finding our joy. And so the art of manifesting and moving on, not wallowing in self-doubt, where it feels as if you are holding your breath, those moments when you get to the end of the day and you feel as if you haven't taken one breath. That's what we're working to address right now. So I'm going to start taking you through a process, And then, oh wait, I have another slide or two, I think.
Yes, and I'm wondering, maybe we can, because they'll get the slides, we can show the slides and the video, they can watch on their own time, and then start with.
Oh, did I go over?
Yeah, 7 minutes left total.
Oh, 7 minutes left. You know what? I'm gonna skip. Let's just finish this here. I'll do a shortened version of the, a 2-minute. We'll just dance for 2 minutes because I would love to show the video. I think that's a great way to sort of end this class so people can see what it looks like and what Dance and Dialogue does for everyone. Okay, so let's, for 2 minutes, take a deep breath. This is what you do when you find your joy. Take just deep breath in again. Exhale. Okay, this song is amped up, old school. I chose it because I thought a lot of you might just say, I need this right now. But you should always create a playlist, and before you leave your house every day, think of something that you can do, moving every day. Wake up out of bed, say something to yourself, what you're in gratitude for. Get up and get ready, and then before you walk out of the house, we're going to do something with our happy dance. If you're not used to doing a happy dance, do it slowly. I invite you, of course, also to put on your cameras.
And just let it go. Bring your best Cabbage Patch. Are you guys ready? Normal DPs in the house. Okay, just start to feel it. You'll feel it. Rolling the side here. Remember that one dancer, right? Bring in that Cabbage Patch. Anything old school that makes you feel good. Arms. There we go.
Here we go, pretty MCs in a fashion show. Up and down the runway, look at them go. Spit them ghetto cliches in a video. Fun wine and the women must be giving a stroke. Makes me long for the days when it was hip to be broke. That's okay.
We have some thunder bombers. Yeah, do it.
Ready or not, we're putting in stock, and we gonna find you. Yeah. Put you on top and ride on your jock, and we gonna sail you. Yeah. Let's talk about controversy, headlines and hypocrisy, scandals that shock and dismay. Keep the world spinning, turning no page. Let's talk about controversy, headlines and hypocrisy, scandals that shock and dismay. Keep the world spinning, turning no page. Let's talk about.
Okay. Also, if you're interested or willing to, put something in the chat. And so I told you all these things about Dance and Dialogue, but you haven't seen any real dance yet. So I want you to see this video to see how it all comes together. And once these students are done doing what they do in these workshops, they go to their local communities and they find ways to pay it forward. The whole day is given to them for free. So it's a really wonderful way to extend out into the community. So without further ado, enjoy this video, and thank you so much for having me.
Dance and Dialogue is a vehicle that helps young people bridge the gap between being a person that wants to be an artist to being an artist.
What Dance and Dialogue is doing, they're bringing this caliber of choreographers and teachers to the kids that can't afford the dance training. You just never know. Some of them might be future dance stars or future choreographers. It's a brilliant program.
I think it's very important for all demographic of dancers to have the best instruction they can get. There are so many different states that don't have this in their curriculum anymore. It's not taught in schools, it's been taken away, it's been held back. So I think it's very, very important. And something like Dance and Dialogue, which opens up so many doors to so many dancers, giving them this opportunity. It's an experience, I think, that you only hear about. And if you could ever experience it yourself, you realize just how important it is.
kind of teachers that they're bringing in here gives them a really broad, varied experience of dance, and they can kind of try all of these different things and see the 1 or 2 or 3 styles that really pulls them, that kind of really speaks to their heart.
I think the education they get at Dance and Dialogue impacts them as humans. It goes beyond dance. We're using dance as a vehicle to be a better community member in your community.
You know, we're looking at them as full human beings and not just dancers. So how is dance affecting their life? How is their life affecting their dance? And whether they become professional dancers or not, how can dance be a positive part of their life?
I connected with someone on a silent way, a little nod or a clap. It just makes you so much more happier being like in a small community of people and being appreciative of like each other's dance styles.
There's a sense of community within schools that have never been around each other. And for them to feel like they have no judgment, no worry about what they should look like, to see them fully let go and to have a good time and just like embrace everyone in the space, I think that's what sets Dance and Dialogue apart.
They might meet someone today that they never knew before, and they might develop a friendship that may last a year, 2 years, may last a lifetime. Those are the valuable things that you get from Dance and Dialogue.
You have the strength to show exactly what you can do. And we forget that, because I heard Roberto say earlier on, you know, he was always worried about what other people think, or who he should be, what he should do to be part of it. And the answer is yourself. Because we don't need another Dimitri, we don't need another Roberto, we have them. But we're looking for you.
It was incredible seeing some of the dancers going on stage and at first being very shy, and then slowly they opened up, and then when the solo came, they were just free.
To create a safe space where it's like we're all equally worthy and enough. We may be from different cultures and different walks of life, but we're coming together on some level of love for dance, that universal language, and from that, we actually end up finding all the other ways in which we're pretty similar.
There's so many times as a dancer where we get so consumed by the feeling of showing out and having to perform, when in actuality, when you're in a class, it's your time to make a mistake and just like look at everyone around you and have a good time. That's what happened today with all the kids.
As a trans woman, sometimes people will stare at me, judge me, laugh at me, but here, I felt like I could truly express myself without any judgment, and I think that's just the magical part of Dance and Dialogue. Everyone's just uplifting each other.
Workshops that I'm used to are all about how hard you can make the dance steps, how much you can push the students, and I feel like Dance and Dialogue really like strips that down. It's really just about who you are and not judging yourself and not judging others. It's crazy to think that this is one of the only programs out there that really offers that.
I was able to talk to them, they were able to ask me questions, and it was almost like we were involved in this constant kind of like dialogue through dance.
They're empowered to be their best self, their highest self. They're empowered to seek not only their passion, but to help other people seek their passion, to uplift people.
Dance and Dialogue is wonderful because they are helping the children find themselves, find their souls, find their passion.
If I was to sum up Dance and Dialogue in one word,
it would be love.
Freedom. Creative.
Empowering.
Opportunity. Exciting. Inclusive.
Wow, amazing. Thank you, Ricka, for sharing about your work. And the video is super powerful. So let's clap it up for Ricka. Thank you so much. And it looks like it's a small world. Seems like a lot of folks recognize some folks from the video. So that's good to see too. And let's also give it up and clap it up for Vicki with the presentation. And for both of you, I think it's so amazing for the both of you to be here today to share your experiences, your insights, and your practice with us. So thank you. And so we're going to move in now into our discussion and Q&A. So audience, at this time, feel free to drop your questions for either Vicki or Ricka or both in the chat. I'm going to ask them both 2 quick questions first to get us started. So go ahead and pop your questions in the chat box. So Vicki and Ricka, for the both of you, you can take turns answering this. Actually, I'm going to also make sure we are up here on Spotlight. So I'm gonna get NeFesha back up here. And Ricka. Okay, so the first question for the both of you is, how else can attendees and anyone in the community learn more or experience how dance and movement can support their health and healing?
You want me to go first? Okay, so Jen, just can you repeat the question one more quick time?
Yes. How else can attendees learn more or experience how dance and movement can support their health and healing?
Well, if you want to learn about it, there's articles written constantly about this, and you can do definitely research online. But if you're looking to actively, embody it and take classes, I think there's so many opportunities now out there in the community. Maybe look even at a local park and community. I know they have all kinds of movement classes from regular movement and, dance, yoga, sometimes specific classes for Parkinson's, those who suffer from Parkinson's. So there are a lot of spaces to do that, and somatic dance practices are very popular right now, and those are amazing because it's very freeing. So I would say look down those avenues.
Yeah, it's a really incredible time that we have. I think especially with creative arts and the arts in general, there's a lot more available to us, especially just because of the state of the world and everything that's going on. People are needing to find more spaces, safe spaces to heal and to grow. And yeah, I totally agree with Ricka about that, of being able to just go out and explore. For me personally, what was really interesting is that I had no idea what dance. I Googled it and was like, what are some professions or careers that deal with like movement other than physical therapy or, massage and, things like that. And so I had just stumbled upon that, and it took me down this incredible rabbit hole of being able to find, all of the dance therapists locally in Los Angeles, where I was living at the time. And so I had just emailed everybody and was like, can I shadow you? Can I come? And so I know people put that in the chat too, like, where can I experience this or witness this? I would say just put yourself out there and be able to reach out to people, network. There's a lot of resources now on LinkedIn, which is really great to be able to connect with people, or on Instagram, on, social media, things like that. But yeah, wholeheartedly, I agree that it is an embodied experience. And so being able to actually experience that in your body, I think will really help you to know, is this feeling good for my body, and what I think I need in order to to feel those healing aspects for your health.
Thank you both. So the second question, and then hopefully you can both answer this abbreviated version, because we do have some questions from the audience. The question is, what strategies can help strengthen collaboration among practitioners working across sectors in community settings to achieve shared goals?
I really feel like that now in this time, partnerships are very powerful, and people are noticing the benefits of partnering, so that we don't have to reinvent a wheel. We don't have to, we take what we are good at, they have what they are good at. We come together and then we offer something really spectacular. So I really feel like, when you have a thought, so if I'm like, I want students to write something and then put it to movement, I might want to partner with an organization that specializes in getting students to write and bring out the most in them, because they're going to know more than I do. And then we come together and we do something really amazing.
Thank you, Ricka. Vicki?
Yeah, I feel like the best thing that I've seen is being able to have conversations with people in terms of like really vision casting and dream building, right? What are the goals and things that you would like to see, whether that's yourself that you're planning to do, or goals that you have, or maybe being able to see maybe I kind of create this idea of what would happen in the community, what's accessible. And I think the more that we dream build together and the more that we vision cast together, right, it helps that aspect of collaboration. And we have a saying, when in doubt, refer it out, right? And so, like what Ricka was saying too, being able to, know your scope of practice and the things that, you're able to offer. And if it's not, in that wheelhouse that you have, maybe it is in somebody else's. And also being able to uplift, one another, right? Especially when people aren't present in the conversation. If you know somebody who is doing that type of work or an organization that is doing that, name dropping and being able to help other people get highlighted and make those connections together, right? I think because when we can build together as a community, I think that's really where we're at our strongest and the most unified.
Thank you both. And I'll invite NeFesha back on here to help us out with some questions from the audience.
Absolutely. Thank you, Vicki and Ricka and Jennifer for bringing us together. The questions, a lot of the questions have been answered, but I do want to go to Chazelle's question, and I apologize if I mispronounce your name. How can dancer movement therapy become more accessible, affordable to the average person? Are more insurance companies covering this as a clinical practice?
Yeah, I can take that one. So as of right now, there's a lot of dance movement therapists who are also going the track of getting licensed in their state too. So it just depends on the state licensure of what's provided in terms of being able to have access to insurance for that. For other folks that are just board certified, a lot of the time it is just private practice. Or you might be able to find people that are providing their services within an institution or a facility, like in a hospital or residential treatment centers, or, the IOP or PHP things that I mentioned before. Sometimes it's like embedded within that program. So if you are in like a rehabilitation, space, you might be able to have access to that. My personal goal is to have a creative healing center where I'm able to, partner and collaborate with other creative arts therapists, where it will be more accessible for people who don't necessarily have insurance, because that was a personal issue of mine, just even in therapy, just as a traditional talk therapy. It took me forever to find a therapist there with insurance. And so I was like, I'm just going to go private pay and, figure this out. But that is a personal goal of mine, to be able to make that more accessible. And sometimes there are dance therapists who do offer a sliding scale as well. So I would check to, reach out to people. I do believe that there's a list of dance therapists on the ADTA website, adta.org. And you should be able to see some of their information, at least an email address that you can reach out to, especially if you want that one-on-one service, and then seeing if they do have a sliding scale available to make it more affordable for you.
Thank you for that answer, Vicki. Would either of you, Ricka or Jennifer, want to add to that? If not, we can go to another question. No, we're good. Okay, that was a very thorough answer. Let's see. We'll do one more question because I know we are running out of time. Let's see. I think one that has not been answered is, and this may go what you just said, Vicki, but are there research studies that document dance's benefits in different settings? Oh, I see. Jennifer just answered too in the chat.
Yes, I basically put a link in so I'm part of the University of Florida Center for Arts and Medicine. So in the chat, I put in a repository that we built together to curate different peer-reviewed articles, mainly focused on research for all different types of arts formats. So you can go to that website and keyword search dance movement. And Vicki, feel free to chime in if there's any other resources I'm sure I'm missing too.
Yeah, you know, a lot of people within the dance therapy community, in order to get our master's, we do have to do a thesis. And so there's a lot of research that's pulled together within that. I know the ADTA does have a data, I think it's like a database, like an article database. I'm forgetting the name of it right now, but you can also check their website too for, you know, for research on that as well.
And I think most of the other questions have been answered. We will be sure to share out your information so that you all can sign up for newsletters like Ricka mentioned in the chat around one of the questions that was proposed. And Jennifer, I think you have a few more slides, so I want to make sure we can go over those. And
thank you. And then as we're closing out, feel free, Ricka and Vicki, if there's any responses in the chat, you know, that you can answer for the folks in the audience too, that would be great. And so again, clap it up for Ricka and Vicki. Thank you all so much. And thank you attendees for joining us today live. We also appreciate any feedback you have about the webinar series. So Terry's going to put in the brief survey link in the chat. It will also be included in a follow-up email. So no worries if we can't fill it out now. And so we also want you to know that we have a couple more webinars left in this series. The next one will be based on visual arts. And then the last one rounding up will be drama and theater. Again, you can register live to join us again, or also watch for the playback on our YouTube channel. And then we also have a free introduction guide to arts and health that includes a lot of bird's eye view resources and information and references too. And then I'll go ahead and pass the last slide here to NeFesha.
Yeah, and the last slide we have here is just stay connected with us. Like Jen said, we have a few more webinars coming up, and we are constantly creating programming as looking forward with the field, thinking about how we can support in shaping the field, and also hearing from the field and learning more about the needs that are out there. So you can subscribe to our newsletter, and you can follow us on any of these platforms, and we are constantly posting and sharing. So thank you so much. And please don't forget to fill out the survey. We do take those surveys and adapt accordingly and learn from all of your input. So please do fill out the surveys.
Yeah, then like Ricka said earlier, when in doubt, dance it out. I always say we hold our issues in our tissues. So everybody just keep moving your body because it's good for us. And with that, thank you all so much. We will see you next time. Take care, everyone.
Take care.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.